So, welcome to the office hours. I'm Mike Rekola, part of the NonDē Legal Filmmaking Lab. Um, we're here for exactly 15 minutes to clear up friction from your production. Before we dive in, we have to cover the ground rules of engagement. Please listen closely because it keeps both of us safe and secure. The disclaimers: I'm an attorney, but I am not your attorney. Everything we discuss here is for educational and informational purposes only. We are discussing business affairs. We are discussing strategy. I am not providing direct legal advice for direct legal problems. My goal is for you to think about me as your legal resource librarian. I'll give you ideas. I'll give you places to research. I'll help you figure out the best path forward for yourself. Please do not ask me specific legal questions like my actor Steve is suing me. What motion should I file? Instead, we'll generally talk about general questions, hypotheticals, things and the like. This is a public forum. This is a group call. This is not confidential. Do not share trade secrets, sensitive financial data, or private personal issues in the chat or on the mic. If you have a high stakes private issue, I suggest you hire outside counsel. That's why we have our Rolodex up on the Legal Lab where you can reach out to entertainment attorneys in your area. With that said, I'm going to get started. I'm going to bring Michael back up onto the screen. He's going to ask his question and we'll dive right in. Just waiting for Mike to join us. I believe his question is going to be on location releases. Hey, Michael, can you hear me? Excellent. I can hear you if you want to talk, Michael. I just can't see you.
Um, Hi.
Hi, Mike. So you
Yeah,
can't.
I don't know what happened. It seemed like I just got bumped out of whatever the original room was and into this room after I finally got audio.
Yeah, that was the problem. I accidentally didn't have my audio settings set up, so I wasn't able to um, actually communicate with you all. So I had to reopen the room. So I
Nobody,
apologize.
nobody's ever done that in the era of Zoom calls and whatnot.
Exactly.
Um,
Um, Quick,
yeah,
Mike, if you can you introduce yourself? Just give me your name, your one line sentence about your project, and just state that you understand that I'm not providing. I am a lawyer, but I'm not your lawyer. So,
Michael R. Barnard. The project I'm talking about is untitled at the moment.
mhm.
And I understand that you are not my attorney, and I hope I only ask generic questions.
Excellent. That's perfect. That's exactly what we need, Michael. So, how can I help you? I believe it was about locations we were looking into. You put in the chat.
Yeah, I have, as long as it's not overwhelming at the moment, I've actually got 2 questions.
Sure.
What I'm doing is I'm dumping my efforts to, try and get my 2 indie film screenplays made into indie films because I
Okay.
can't even get them read, and they're really good, but I can't even get them read. So I've decided to go the non-D approach, the
Yep.
micro budget, which I hate, by the way, micro budget. I
Yes.
have a lifetime of making shit for too little money. But on
Hmm.
the other hand, I learned a hell of a lot. So right now, I'm going to, you know what? I should give you my video just so I'm not blind here. I realize I closed that. So right now, what I want to do is create a feature film,
Okay.
the Holy Grail, 2 people, 1 room. I think I have figured out a really good script, a story that can work in that. And if I do it all myself, obviously the non-D concept, um, and just put it out there, just because at this point in my life I just need to accomplish that.
I agree. I totally agree. You got to be moving.
So here's my thing. I'm out of pocket. I'm talking about just a couple grand,
Okay.
very very tight. So one, I need the 1 room, and this is the
Mhm.
one I posted, which I could strip out my apartment. It's a 1-bedroom apartment. I could strip out the living area and turn it into a 1939 replica of an old man's poor apartment,
Wow.
meaning mild dressing of it, removing the
Yep.
current furniture, make it look 1939. I'm I don't know how to approach my landlord, on that issue, and, uh, I've been a good tenant. I've lived here for years, so I don't have any issues that way. So, but anyway, that's what would a person in my spot do for that? And then second is the really big kahuna that I know
Yep.
you deal with all the time. I'm in California.
Yep.
I wanna shoot a, no budget film, very light, just a couple of actors and a couple of crew
Yep.
for 3 days. I'm planning on 3 days. Um, I've worked on feature films for studios. I've worked on indie films. I've worked on shorts, and I'm pretty well versed in the problem, especially in California, for, workers' rights.
Hmm.
By the way, I'm union too. But anyway, I want to shoot this thing, um, bare minimum, the
Yep.
$100 a day kind of bare minimum.
Okay.
Um, but in California, I know that, uh, I run head on into obviously the labor laws about minimum wage, filing, insurance for them, all that. Is there a legitimate way to create a project, um, that is volunteer based? People want to do it for the experience and the
Hmm.
artistry. Like again, I'm saying just 4 or 5 people at the most,
Yep.
3 or 4 days at the most, and a total budget of just a very few $1,000. Um, can that be documented in such a way as to be legal, especially as far as, like, production insurance or such?
Yeah. So the first thing is let's take the easier one, cross that off at the top, the location. So that's going to be the easier one to look at. The first thing I would suggest is always go to your principal document that you signed with your landlord. So if you have a copy of the lease, pull the copy of the lease and look at the language in there. It might have language that says no commercial work on the premise. It might not. If it doesn't have any language in the lease, what you need to next think about is what is the actual issue? Because technically, you are domiciled in the process. You're allowed to do what you want to do in your domicile as long as you're not ruining the quiet enjoyment of your neighbors. Quiet enjoyment just simply means you're not being loud, rowdy, disrupting things like that. So you have to look at what kind of strategy you want to take. I believe you always get further with honey than you do with vinegar. So I always believe in open, clear communications. Um, what I would do is express to your landlord what you're doing, express that you have production insurance, and express that this is very small. There's no hammering. There's no like loud action sequences. Just think about it at like rope. It basically sounds like rope, but in your living room as opposed to the living room that Hitchcock set up. So I prefer a method where you're clear up front and clearly covering yourself in all angles. Now, that isn't to say that, some people ask for forgiveness rather than permission. And it all depends really on the lease and what you're best situated for. Um,
I'm,
again,
the amount of effort to reset the room makes it pretty impossible to do it without attracting some attention.
so
Not
then
noisy, not damaging, but,
no,
some.
I get what you're saying because you're gonna have people moving things in and out. So if that's the concern, then what I would honestly do is just do it above board because you want to make sure then that you'll have your full location release signed so that your landlord signs it so that in distribution no one has problems with it. It's just easier that way. So kind of, just talk to them. It might be a pain because they might say no, and then that's a different story. If you shoot it anyways, who knows. But um, I find it's always best to be above board, if you get what I'm saying.
Okay. Then, would you say the, location release would probably be the end all be all for that process?
Yeah. So what I would do is I'd reach out to your landlord. I'd say, I reviewed my lease. It doesn't really say anything in there about doing because again, is this the same project that you're thinking about having volunteers do?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So then I'd say like I do works, I do art sometimes collaborative with volunteers. I just wanted to inquire if you'd be okay if I shot 1 or 2 days. We're not using public space. And I'd love to discuss with you. I have insurance, I have location release for you to sign, things like that. And that way they look at you and they go, wow, okay, he's professional. He knows what he's doing. He's got it. We'll handle it.
Good. Thank you.
The second thing, so the second question with the California no budget. So again, I'm not barred in California. I'm barred in New York. I don't necessarily know the laws in California as well, but what I have seen in New York, what people have done is, again, formulate an LLC or a company, or if they do it in their individual capacity, they get all their documents in order, and then they have the actors and actresses sign their talent releases that specifically says they're either being paid their rate or it's a volunteer service. And if it is volunteer, make sure you slip in some slight clause like publicity is the consideration that you're giving them for working on the film, things like that. I would always encourage you to come up with a reasonable rate. I'm not saying paying them hundreds of dollars because this is so low budget, but if you can give them 1 day rate that for what SAG's ultra low budget, I think is like $125. See if you can negotiate that for like the whole package. I think that would be a really good way to look at it potentially. But
Can
again,
can I go back to the beginning?
sure.
I would like to avoid an LLC or a corporate
Okay.
entity if possible. I totally understand why I would want to, and I'm the kind of guy who really
Mhm.
wants to, although on the other hand, I haven't got anything to lose. Uh,
Mhm.
but just because when you're only talking a couple grand, an $800 fee for an LLC is, a lot.
Yeah. So again, there is other ways to potentially look at that. Is you don't have to be registered in the state that you live in. You could, in theory, start an LLC in Delaware, which is much cheaper and much more cost effective. The only problem then becomes is I don't know what California might charge a fee to then register in California as an out of state company.
Yeah, they
But
do.
even then, you'd have to do taxes in Delaware, things like that. So I totally understand. My personal opinion is to always cover your ass. Pardon my
Yeah.
French, but the LLC protects you so that if someone
I
slips
asked
and
ain't
falls,
worth nothing, so in that regard,
then what I would consider doing is potentially creating some form of memorandum of understanding or some document between you and your collaborators that establishes we are all doing this as a volunteer creative art project. However, I am the leader, but we are all here together in this capacity.
okay,
I
great.
only got a few more minutes, Michael. So if you got anything else, shoot them my way. Otherwise, we're going to start kind of wrapping things up.
No, that's, I think that answers everything, other than, what we just discussed, normal release forms should work.
Generally, just make sure that you're putting in that they're doing volunteer because generally the release form will have a compensation clause. And
Right.
if they're working for free, make sure you change the compensation from, say, zero to compensation for publicity or
Okay,
whatnot for being part of the film.
and then I've always in the past in those situations considered a stipend. I mean, if I
Yeah.
told somebody I'm going to pay them $100 a day, it's generally a stipend instead of a wage.
So that generally turns into a tax issue because California might deem it or the IRS might deem it as actual salary and then tax the person. So depending on what you call it, make sure you separate it out into the deal memo or the talent release so that it can be clearly defined and delineated.
Okay. I don't imagine anybody I'd be dealing with actually has a tax problem over a couple $100, so
It's
yeah.
not, yeah, it's not, and it's not even them. It's the IRS that might look at their return and say, "Oh, that's not a stipend. That's an actual salary. So I need our 30%."
Okay. Alright, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. I'm going to bounce you off stage and I'm just going to do my little wrap up.
Alright.
Thanks, Mike. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining our office hours this week. Couple quick notes. The quick takeaway for today is we have a starter packet up on the site that has your talent release, it has your crew deal memo, and it has your location release, as long as also with a 10-point checklist so that you can check out. And then this recording will be up on the lab within 24 hours. If you didn't get your question answered, submit it for next week. Remember, I'm your lawyer, but I am not. I am a lawyer, but I am not your lawyer. So make sure you check your paperwork, check your rights, make sure you get outside counsel if you need it, and let's get to work. I do owe one question to Brooke. Brooke, real quickly. Hypothetically, she had asked if she should start a new LLC if she's shooting a new film or fold it under the old LLC from an old film. I would cover your ass. I would recommend that you research looking into a new LLC. It's always great to have clear chain of title work, paperwork, everything, expenses, all in a new LLC. But again, thanks everyone for joining us, and we will see you on the flip side.